Our final honoree tonight has experienced countless successes as a head coach. That's pretty much the formula for getting into a Hall of Fame. He has also recently experienced tragedy, a tragedy that enveloped his team. Chris Shultz's Geneseo hockey team was rocked 2 Januaries ago when defenseman Matt Hutchinson was killed in a criminal incident you probably heard about. Hutchinson's number 23 hung high on the wall of Geneseo's home rink the rest of the season. It became a rallying point for the Knights and an inspiration for his teammates. Geneseo went on to qualify for the second Frozen Four in school history that season. Shultz told his guys during the year, if you ever find yourself in a place of weakness, if you're ever getting negative, just look to the banner. You're immediately going to find strength in that. In 15 seasons as a head hockey coach at Aquinas and Geneseo, there must be dozens, hundreds of players who looked to Shultz standing above a bench and found a similar strength. Please welcome to the podium, class of 1992, Chris Shultz.
Thank you very much. I saw Mrs. Getting for the first time since, I think, 1992. And she probably doesn't remember me very much because I went 3 years and about 175 days without getting a jug. 5 days before graduation, I forgot an assignment in my locker going to Mr. Piller's pig class. And I had to make that decision. My locker was right next to Mrs. Getting's office. And you weren't allowed to go to your locker back then. And so I had to make the decision, and I made the decision to take a chance. Mrs. Getting might not hear my locker jingle and get to Mr. Piller's class, because Mr. Piller, if you don't hand an assignment in for him, you're screwed. And I took that chance, and sure enough, Mrs. Getting, I get the tap on the back, and I knew she wasn't saying hi to me. So she calls me in the office, she hands me a yellow slip, and she says, you know, you weren't supposed to be in your locker. And it was my fault, I know that. And I looked at the slip, and it had three detentions, 3 jugs on it. And I said, it's 3 jugs for going to your locker. And she said, no, it's just 1 jug, but you had the gall to come into my office chewing gum as well. So that was cool. So I made my way to jog. I didn't even know where it was. And I'm like, now I got to go hang out with a bunch of losers. And I walk in, and they're literally all my friends. So I'm like, I'm the loser here. Mr. McGuire walks in. No lie. He walks in, makes 5 steps, he takes a look around the room, and he makes eye contact with me and comes to a complete stop. And I said, this can't be good. And he sits down, and I'm like, I wonder why he stopped when he made eye contact with me. And I could just see him keep looking up at me, and finally he called my name, Shultz, get up here. I'm like, I just went to my locker. That's all I did. And so he's like, why are you here? I explained the story. And then sure enough, he goes, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go downstairs and grab me something. And don't come back. So I'm like, I don't understand. He's like, am I speaking Braille to you, Shultz? And I said, no. And he goes, get out. So I ran out. So Mrs. Getting, the moral of the story is I still owe you 2 jugs. But thank you very much for having me here right now. You know, I'm here for one reason, and that's the people that surrounded me throughout my time at Aquinas as a player and as a coach. You know, in terms of being a player, there's certain people in particular. There's guys like Grady Monks, Mike Sloan, Brian Kelly, Jeremy Giordano, Bobby Nuccitelli, Dave Parada, who are all really, really good hockey players. And they're probably wondering why Chris Shultz is getting in and not them. They scored a heck of a lot more goals than I did. And I outwitted them. I knew that they were the goal scorers, so I found a way to get on their line and give them the puck, and it's just that easy. You find your name on the score sheet, and that's the way things worked. But I wouldn't be here without them. They were the goal scorers. Those were the guys that were by my side the whole time, and any hockey player knows that you just can't do things by yourself in our game. So I'm standing here because of them. I'm standing here because of guys like Dave Montgomery, Duncan Montgomery, Dick Gamble. Those were my coaches in my time at Geneseo. Dick Gamble was the one that gave me a chance to play. I walked in Aquinas as a very, very intimidating 5'3", 120-pound freshman, and he saw something in me, not sure what. But Dave Montgomery, he took over for the next 3 years, and he was great because he gave us a leash as long as you can possibly have in terms of being creative on the ice and not worrying about playing within a system. He let us be creative. We had a really, really good hockey teams, and that's what made us go. And it was awesome to see one of my first travel hockey coaches, Mike Dozier here. He was my first, I think it was like an under 12. They called it Major Squirt back then. It's kind of funny. And we won a state championship together, but Mr. Dozier, you had a great impact on my life as well. And Aquinas hockey now is in the hands of his son Chuck and Joey Gianta, and they're going to take this program back to where it should be, and it's going to be awesome watching it. Mr. Aquinas hockey, John Nuccitelli. I wouldn't be a college hockey coach if it wasn't for Mr. Nucci. I remember when there was a coaching change at Aquinas. I was an assistant coach down at SUNY Geneseo, and I got a phone call from Mr. Nucci, and Mr. Nucci said, the Aquinas job is open, and we want it to be yours. And I remember saying to Mr. Nucci, I want to take the college route. I don't know if it's something that I'm interested in. And he proceeded to say, I'm going to call you in 24 hours, and I'm going to expect to hear the yes from you. So I thought about it for about 25 minutes. I called him back. I said, I'm in. But Mr. Nucci is one of the best people Aquinas has ever had, and thank you, Mr. Nucci, for all you've done for me. My assistant coaches, I've got from Aquinas, Steve Chinappi, Joe Gianta, Brian Fideli, Brian McGuigan, Ryan Gage. Those guys, as a coach, any head coach knows you're only as good as the people that are around you, and those guys were the best. Steve Chinappi in particular, he was, MASH, Radar. He was like Radar for me on the show MASH. He knew exactly what I wanted, what I was forgetting, what I needed. He was one step ahead of me the whole way, and he was unbelievable for me as a coach. The senior class of 2006, we won a sectional championship, went to the state final, lost 1-0 in a heartbreaker. But I'll remember that class for a long time because of the camaraderie they had, the culture that they built within the room. So I owe a lot to them as well. I got to talk about my family, my mom and dad. They've been with me every step of the way. Here they come. Like all other hockey parents, they spend a lot of money on you. They travel around the country with you. Thank you for everything you've done to allow me and my brother to follow our passion. My wife, Christy, she allows me to receive a paycheck from the state of New York, a pretty decent paycheck from the state of New York to work coaching hockey. I'm gone a lot, and thank you. My brother Jim played hockey for Aquinas before I got there. And back in the 80s, I don't know if any of you know, hazing was kind of cool back then. It wasn't frowned upon like it is now. And I just remember being so scared walking into the locker room, as physically large as I am, and having, I don't know if any of you remember Stan Ewing. Stan Ewing was one of the most intimidating characters on the face of the planet. And he made a beeline towards me when I walked in the locker room on the very first day. I'm like, it's already starting. I just walked in. And he put his arm around me and he said, you're Shultz's brother. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. And at that moment, my brother became my hero. And finally, because there's a Game 6 on right now, let's end it here. I'd like to thank Jesus and Anthony Bianchi. And Anthony, I'm sorry, but I'm going to talk about Jesus first. If you have a relationship with Jesus, you're constantly being humbled. And I'm a very, very ordinary person. I'm not charismatic. I'm not a Rhodes Scholar. I'm about as average as you can possibly get. And what he's allowed me to do in my life and be successful with it, there's nothing like a personal relationship with Jesus. And I thank my God every day for when I wake up that I can go to work again. And Anthony Bianchi, what you've done with your program, Anthony started the 3D coaching program. It's a philosophy that talks about mind, body, and spirit. And the important thing for me is spirit. Because we can win state championships, we can win sectional championships, we can get all county, we can see our name in the paper. But if we're graduating students or student athletes from Aquinas and they don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, or at least know who Jesus Christ is, I'm not sure we're doing our job. And this program that Anthony's incorporated into the athletic program is the right thing. And we can save lives. Jesus said, I am the way, I am the truth, and I'm the life. Nobody comes to the Father except through me. And it's our job to show our students and to show our student athletes who Jesus is, so they have the opportunity to save their souls, and the ultimate trophy is in heaven and not here. Thank you so much.